So why are the other guys are not joining? So maybe because we are providing them this recordings. Okay. So any doubts regarding yesterday's class, or shall we move towards a new topic?
So new topics.
Okay. So from today, actually, there this will be more important. Okay. So right now we'll be working on this container services on AWS. So the topic will be little big. So make sure that you prepare proper notes on this. Okay. So we'll be creating cluster and handling the cluster and images. That actually the all this practice from here will be a lengthy procedure. Okay, so please try to pay attention, and also the practical part of this is very important. Okay, it's not that we'll be just doing this practical in the class for 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, but practically to execute that, at least it needs so much of experience. Okay, so the experience which is required to understand the concept. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we'll be working on this programming language and all. No programming will be there. The main thing is you need to understand the concept. Okay, so the procedure will be lengthy, and also please maintain notes. Okay, so today in this practical part you might be able to complete it, but after maybe after 10 or 15 days, if I ask you again, so you might not be able to understand no, you might not be able to answer it. Okay, so maintain proper notes. Okay, so we shall start with the practical today. So we'll try to. I think already we have an image available on Docker Hub. We have our image available on ECR. Okay, so image is available, but the thing is we need to run that image on our containers. Okay, so we'll be trying to build a number of containers at the same time, and we'll try to delete the service of the containers at the same time. So first, very important thing is we are going to build a cluster today. Okay, so that cluster will be handling multiple number of servers, right? As we have seen yesterday in the class in the PPT. So handling one or two servers is a very easy job. So whereas if there are several hundreds of servers connected together, so we basically calling them as cluster. So imagine if you are having several clusters. Okay, so each cluster will be having, for example, 100 servers. If you are having around 10 clusters, so that then the real challenges will come into action, right? So to face those challenges, these basics are very important. Okay, so what we are doing today, and how we are creating the cluster, and how we are adding our instances. Okay, so the thing is you need to understand the shortcuts, and you need to understand the procedures. Okay, so that is possible when you understand the concept properly. Okay, so please pay attention. So we'll start with ECS today, ACS Container Service practical. So I'll log in into my console, and also if you are not able to get anything in between, you can just stop me up, and you can get your query clarified. Okay. So here I'll say ECS Elastic Container Service. Okay, click on that. I'll also write some notepad. Okay. So ECS. Right? So and remember that we are doing this in this old console. Okay. So basically, when you open your Amazon ECS, your UI will be looking like this. Okay, so I'm what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go with the old process. Okay, so old process. Why I'm choosing that old process is in this old process the concept is in much detail. Okay, so you will be able to understand what exactly is happening, right? So in newer console there are actually shortcuts, so you might not be able to get it properly. So I'm taking you to the old console. So how to go to this old console is just click on this. Okay, so disable this button. So this will take to you to the older experience or older UI of AWS. So I'm just disabling it. Okay, it is still new only. I'll say old. Okay. If you disable this, you will be going to the old console. Okay. So from here we'll be starting. Okay. So first there are steps. What we are going to do is steps involved. So first thing is we'll create a cluster. Okay. So next we will create a task definition. Okay. Third step is run or run task or service. Okay, so we'll go each of this in a practical way such that you can understand it better. But these three involves these three steps we'll do first. So we'll start with first step, creating content cluster. Okay, so creating a cluster. So I'll go to this cluster section. So click on cluster, right? So then click on create cluster. Okay, so now you are having three options. One is network only, one is EC2 plus networking, one is EC2 Windows plus networking. So as we have spoken, have some discussion in yesterday's class. So there will be two types. One is managed and unmanaged. Okay, so in this managed server, you will be handling all servers and jobs, right? So whereas in unmanaged, AWS will handle, okay, handle your servers and jobs. That means, as we have discussed yesterday, if you are in this managed section, you will need to create your server, create your install your softwares, and everything you will be handling by yourself. Whereas unmanaged, we call that service as Fargate. Okay. So Fargate, as you know, we have already had discussion on this. So Fargate is a premium service which is provided by AWS. That means you need not worry about your servers, how much you need not worry about your containers, how much load we have to do, how many operating system you have to install. So how many? So all the thing is everything like it's no, it's like will be a easy job. So everything, all the load, all the traffic, everything you can leave it to the Fargate. Okay, AWS will handle. So this managed section, you need to handle everything. So your servers, your softwares, your configuration. So everything will be managed by you. Okay. So now we are going to this way. Okay. So this way we will be earning. So managed section, as I told, we have to handle our all our servers, its configuration, everything, right? So we'll go through this managed part. So managed part, as you know, this is networking only means this comes under this Fargate. So everything will be managed by AWS. So we want to go to this managed way. So I'll say I will be creating servers with Linux operating system. Okay, Linux operating system will be provided plus net, networking. Why I'm asking about networking is, as you know, a group of servers will create a cluster, right? So group of servers means more than one server or more than two servers, right? So all these servers need to be connected together, right? So all this connected need to function together, right? So in that case, we'll be needing some networking. So without networking, all these servers will work separately. Okay, so we need to bring all the servers together, and we need to form a network. So that is why I'm asking EC2 plus networking, right? So instances will be installed, all your instances will be installed with Linux operating system, and networking will be provided, right? So here you can see one is all your servers cluster, all your servers will be installed with Windows operating system plus network, right? So this also you can practice, and this also you can practice, right? So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm taking Linux operating systems. Okay, so Linux operating system plus networking. So click on next. So here you need to give a name to your cluster. So I'll say May 11 cluster. Okay, so this will be my cluster name. So again, so I'll say on demand instance. So no changes here. And here I'll say I will go with the easy versions only. So I think we are every day we are working on T2.micro. So basically, this clusters will be of high configuration only, but because we don't have access to that higher configuration servers, we'll start with lower configuration only. So I'll take T2.micro. Okay. So how many instances you want? So how many you want to build inside your cluster? So right now I'll be starting my cluster with only one. Okay, one, or else I'll take two instances. Okay, so inside your cluster two instances will be created. Okay, so I can in your simple terms how I can define, else notepad, sorry, not notepad. So so what I'm trying to do now is this will be my cluster. Okay, so I'll say, okay, so under this cluster I'm adding two instances. Okay, I'll say instance instance 2. Okay, so now these will be connected. So I think there is, okay, so under this cluster these two instances will be working. So the one thing is we'll try to understand how to increase this instances in the future. Okay, how to add number of instances, how to delete the number of instances, that also we'll be learning. But right now I'm creating one cluster. Under the cluster two instances are running. Okay, two instances. So again, they're asking for operating system. So they're providing me Linux operating system. Okay. So remember that we are doing the configuration for cluster here. Okay. We are doing configuration for the cluster and not your instances. Okay. So create your instances, number of instances two. So here I'll say create new VPC. If you want to go with new VPC, you can create a new one, or else you can add your existing one also. Okay. So in the existing one, I add three subnets, or else we'll do one thing. Why to take risk? So we'll create one new VPC. Okay, let it be, right. Then I'll say security group. Okay, as you are already very about aware of this security group, right. Okay, we can't add security groups if I add like this. Okay, so I'll take existing VPC. So already one VPC is available in all your systems. One default VPC will be available. This default VPC you'll get from the default location. Okay, so as you know, we are under South A, I think, right, south one, right. So in that, in this VPC we'll be having, if you open this, south C, and what we say, south A, and South B. Okay, so maybe only three will be there. South A, South B, and South C. These are all coming under this Mumbai only. Okay, so next I'll say auto assign. Okay, let it be.
Sir,
So,
it's a small query, sir.
చెప్పండి.
Subnets అంటే ఏ కాన్సెప్ట్ అనేది అది సబ్నెట్స్
ఇదే
అంటే
అమ్మ
ఏంటి
ఇప్పుడు
సార్ అది?
నార్మల్గా ఇప్పుడు అవైలబిలిటీ జోన్ ఉంది కదా.
Yes, sir.
సౌత్ వన్ ఉంది కదా. సో సౌత్ వన్లోని
Yes,
మళ్ళీ
sir.
సబ్ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. సో సబ్లో మనకి వాళ్ళు త్రీ ఇస్తున్నారు, ఏ బి సి. దీస్ ఆర్ ప్రొవైడెడ్ బై అమెజాన్ ఓన్లీ, మనం చేంజ్ చేసేది ఏమి ఉండదు. మనం జస్ట్ సౌత్ వన్ అని
Yes,
సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నాం. సో సౌత్ వన్లో మనం అన్ని సబ్నెట్స్ అన్ని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటాం. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ సేమ్ దిస్ పిక్చర్ విల్ సే, ఇప్పుడు సౌత్ అని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నాను. సో సౌత్ విల్ బి వర్కింగ్ అండర్ నంబర్ ఆఫ్ డివిజన్స్. ఓకే, సో మనకి ఇప్పుడు సౌత్లో అన్ని డివిజన్స్ కావాలి అంటే అన్ని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటాం.
okay, sir.
ఓకే,
సార్
ఇది
వాయిస్
జస్ట్
రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది.
ఆప్షన్, ఇది కూడా జస్ట్ ఆప్షన్, యూ కెన్
ఒకసారి
సెలెక్ట్
చూడండి.
వన్ ఆర్ టూ ఆల్సో ఫైన్. జస్ట్ ఏంటి అంటే అవైలబిలిటీ అన్నమాట.
Okay, sir.
సో కమింగ్ టు దిస్ ఆటో అసైనింగ్
సార్
ఐపీఎల్. యా చెప్పం.
సార్ సార్ ఇది వాయిస్ రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది, ఒకసారి చూడండి.
అవుతుంది.
ఓకే.
First thing is, guys, please don't depend on this recordings and all. This is just an optional one. Okay, so ఇప్పుడు నార్మల్గా వీఆర్ డూయింగ్ దిస్ క్లాస్ సచ్ దట్ వీ కెన్ లెర్న్ టుగెదర్. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ మీరు ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా క్లారిఫై చేసుకోవచ్చు, అడగొచ్చు. సో దట్ విల్ బీ ఇన్ అన్ ఇంటరాక్టివ్ వే. So I don't think this videos will be of much help. Okay, there are so many videos available on YouTube also. There are so many other sources for this, right? So మనం ఇంటరాక్టివ్ సెషన్ చేస్తే that will be good. Okay, so coming back, so I think here I can select my security group now. So I'll open. So we are working on this launch wizard one, right? So I think okay, launch wizard one. In this already all my port numbers are declared. So that is why I'm using this port number regularly in all my activities. Okay. So if you want to see those rules, security groups, I think if I create a new security group, again I have to add all my port numbers individually. So that is why I'm adding already existing security group. Okay, so see in this where is my security group number, launch wizard one. Okay, so this is the one I'm using. So security group ID. So here you see I've already all these port numbers are added, right? Port number 80, 22, 3389 and all. Okay, if I create a new security group, again I have to add all these port numbers, which I don't want to do. Okay, so I'm taking one existing security group, then scroll down. So here if you want to give any create any user, IAM user, so for that person you need to provide this ECS instance role. Okay, so right now we don't want to give any access to the outsider, so we'll be handling this alone. So we'll just give it an option, then click on create. Okay, so now it will be creating one cluster. It will be creating one cluster with two instances. Okay, right, I'll go back. So view cluster. Okay, so in this, you need to go through each of these options, right? So services and tasks, which I will be discussing during the practical part, because you'll understand it mature in a perfect way if I do it practically. If I create service, what will happen? If I create task, what will happen? So that will be seeing practically. And ECS instances. So as you know, this we have created two instances, right? We have added two servers. So right now I think they'll be in the end of this. These servers might have getting created. So to get that option, you can just go back to your EC2 section, EC2, click on this. So instances. So as you can see, when we had created our cluster, it has automatically created two instances for you. Okay. So here you can see EC2 container service May 11 cluster. Okay. This is my cluster name. So under my cluster, I have created two servers, right? So these are those two servers. Okay. So as you can see, initializing check. That means it has just started to build these servers. Okay. So under my cluster, these two EC2 instances will be working. Okay. So let this come into action. Okay. Initializing. So my servers are getting created. Okay, so now our servers have come into this instance running state. And remember that these two instances are created automatically when you have created your cluster. Okay, so coming back, we'll go to our cluster section. So I'll say ECS. So now your cluster has two servers available to use, right? So now we learn uh, how to create this task definition. Okay, so one thing is creating cluster completed, two instances added, right? So we have added two instances. So two instances under control of the cluster. Okay, so this we have done. So now we will be creating one task definition. Okay. So creating task definition will include this. We want to run a container on this instance, right? So we have to add our containers. So what we'll do is this task definition is nothing but it is like a template. Okay. So in that template we will be filling all our requirements. Okay. So the best example for that requirements is like our container. So we will send it our container location. We'll fill the form with the container location such that this container will be running onto the cluster. So we'll do that. We will understand it better when we do that practically. So as you can see, this is my cluster, right? So under my cluster, I'm having two EC2 containers, right? One is Fargate section. That means everything, all your servers will be handled by Fargate automatically given. Okay. So similarly, ec2 is managed, so I will be managing all this. So it's my responsibility to maintain two instances. Okay. So this is external. That means if you are having any on premise servers, if you are having any physical servers on your campus, you can include that server into this cluster. Okay. So as you can see, the cluster is inclusive of multiple types of servers. One is Fargate servers, one is EC2 servers, and one is your on-premise servers. Okay. So right now we are working under this EC2, which are managed. Okay. So going back, so I'll click on task definition, right? So this is a previous one, I'll just remove. Okay. So create task definition. So I'll say create new task definition. So here again you need to select launch type compatibility, right? So where your container will be running, right? So my container will be running on EC2, right? Why? Because we have created two EC2 instances. Okay. So I'll say I'll be running my container on EC2 instance. So that is the reason I'm selecting EC2. Okay. So click on next. Okay, so here you need to give a definition for the task name. Okay, so I think my task definition, I'll say or else I can give some random name, no problem. So I'll say task definition test. Okay, so this I'll be giving the name, right? So required contact compatibility, as you know, EC2. Okay. So task role, if you are having any IAM users, you can specify those IAM users here. Right now I'll be managing all that, so I'm not giving any IAM user. Okay. So when you scroll down, so network mode, you can select this as bridge, or else you can leave it as default also, no problem. Okay. Next, coming down, this you can leave this uh, for default values, and the important thing which you have to add here is the task size. Okay. So the task size allow you to specify a fixed size for your task. So task size is required for task using Fargate launch type and is optional for EC2, right? So right now, as you can see, we are working on this EC2. So what the person is specifying, task size is required for task using launch type. Fargate launch type it is required and is optional for EC2 or external launch type. Okay. So similarly, in simple terms, you can say that this task size is nothing but the container which you are running. So how much size you want to allocate to this container. Okay. So for that, you can just click on this. You'll have different uh, uh, options for you. Maybe we can say different combinations. So task size, if you scroll down, you'll see. Okay. So CPU value and memory value. Okay. So we shall also try this, what's there. So what is the default CPU value is 0.25 CPU. When you enter the value 256. So memory value 512 MB you can enter, 1 GB you can enter, 2 GB you can enter. Okay. But for CPU value 256, if you enter the value 256, then 0.25 CPU will be provided. Okay. So I'll go with a very minimum one. I'll say CPU value 256. Okay. So CPU limit 256. Okay. So then the memory value I'll say 512 MB. I'll go for very very minimal one. So I'll say 512 MB my memory value. Okay. So my memory will be 512. Okay. So basic size I have taken. Here I need to add container definitions. So click on add container. Okay. So here you need to provide your container name. So that means your project basically. So which project you want to add. So I'll say so container test. Okay. So you need to provide one image to this container. As you know, we have already provided images. So we have created our images on Docker Hub. We have also created images on ECR. Okay, so I think I'll take from ECR only. So ECR I think already available on ECR. So I'll search for ECR. Okay, so in this I have already uploaded. In the previous class I have uploaded. I think you know this process of uploading your image onto ECR. Okay, so this we have done yesterday. So 10th May we had this practice. So I'll copy this URL. Okay, so copy this URL and paste it here. Okay, this is your image location. So it will bring the image and it will try to run on this task definition. Okay, so if at all if you are having if your image is not available on ECR, if it is available on Docker Hub, no problem. So you can also bring your same image from Docker Hub also. Okay, hub.dockerhub.com. So if your image is available on this Docker Hub, so what you can do is you can bring the same image. So for example, if I want to add this project, so click on this. So this would be your image link. Okay, so you can just copy and paste. So I think I'll remove the spaces. Okay, so now what will happen is it will get the image from the Docker Hub. Okay, you have two options. You can get your image from Docker Hub, or else you can get the image from your ECR. Okay, I'm taking from ECR. I'll copy this and I'll paste. Okay, you have two options. Okay, then private repository, both are public, so no problem. So if it is a private repository, it will ask you for the much more details. Okay, so which we are not doing right now. I'm taking this public repository. Then this you can just what will be the maximum limit of this thing. Okay, so I think we have provided memory limit of 512 MB to our operating system, right? So before in the previous step we have provided 512 MB to this task. So I'll say I'll provide half of it. I'll say 258. Okay, so a soft limit also you can add 128. So the task size will be running between 128 MB to 256 MB. Okay, and after this port number mapping. So I think for we are adding the same security group for all. So I think I'll take port number 80 for both of them. Okay, so this for this is host port number. In my security groups I have already added, and again this is container port number I'm adding here. Okay, port number 80, right? So when you scroll down, and you can just leave all these values for default storage, default values, and then you can click on add. Okay. So here I have added my container. Okay. The image I have added for the container. So this image will be running in my container. Okay. So I'll scroll down. This all you can leave for default values and click on create. Okay, so task definition I have created. So in the task definition, main thing what I have done is I have added my image and set my port numbers, hard limit and soft limit to my task. So this we have done. So these are important things which I have just noted. So this we have done while creating my task definition. Okay. So now my cluster is ready and my template. So basically we are calling it as template. So we have used the template. In the template we have added our image, our port numbers, and our task size, right? So these two we have done. So the next job is to run this container. Okay, so the job is to run this task definition on this cluster, right? So that we'll be doing now. Step number 3. So first, what we'll do is we'll work on task first. Okay, okay. So to work on this task, so we will go back to our cluster section. Okay, so inside this cluster, just open your cluster. So click on this cluster, right? So inside this, as I've told, we have two options. One is service and one is task. So right now we'll be working on tasks. Okay, so click on task. So as you can see in your cluster, two container instances are working. So previously we couldn't see, right? So if you click on this ECS instance, okay. So here you can see all your list of container instances, or else you can say your servers, right? We have two servers and both are in running conditions, right? So both are in running conditions, running task. This is CPU availability, memory available, right? So Docker version, which is installed on this. So these are all installed by default. Okay. So coming back, so I'll go to this task section. So here I'll be adding one task. So click on run new task. So that means this will run the container for you. Okay. So click on run new task. So here you can select. So what type of task you want to run? As you know, I want to run EC2 task, right? So because I have created an EC2 task definition. So click on EC2. So when you scroll down, it will show you all the definitions which are associated to EC2. So task definition test. So this is the latest one which I've created just now, right? So it will add the task definition and on which cluster you want to add. So this is my cluster. I will add. So again, it will ask how many tasks you want to run, how many containers you want to run. So as because I'm having two containers, sorry, two EC2s, I'll say two containers I want. Okay. So two tasks will be running. Okay, then this you can leave it for option, then click on run task. That's it. So simply what you can do is you need to select the launch type EC2, provide your task definition, and provide the number of tasks. Okay, so then scroll down and click on run task. Okay, this should run your container now. Okay, so to monitor, as you can see in the task sections, two tasks have been added. Okay, so just we need to check the status. Once it is in running condition or active condition, we can use our container. Okay, so refresh. Okay, so as you can see, this is quickly it has bought our container, right? So two containers are available. So click on this task definition. So click on this task, right? As you can see, my container is in running condition. So just click on this name. Okay, if you click on this name, you will get one external link. So what is this external link? Is it is the URL to access your container. Okay, so click on this. You will need you will be able to access your container. Okay, so click on this, right? So as you can see, your container is running on this IP address, right? So this is the status of container one. So if you want to have the detail, so as you can see, the task is carrying all your details. So this is your container image. So this image you are able to run. Okay. So further you can see 256 essential and all. Okay. So similarly, I'll go back. So this is I'm running two containers, right? So this is container number one. So this is container number two, right? So here you can see again open this container. So here you'll be seeing the external link. This is the link to your container, right? So as you can see, your two containers are running on the cloud. So similarly, now you want to add more containers as the traffic is growing much. So what you can do, if you want to add more containers, simply the task is run new task, select EC2. Next here I'll say two more containers. Then I'll say run task. So it's very, very simple. So I think what is saying resource memory. So what is this resource memory? The thing is resources are not available. Why? Because our servers are very, very small. So we have taken T2.micro, right? So our T2.micro will be having very, very less memory. So that is why it is telling me that it is not available. So let me say if at all, if it takes one task. Okay, so one, let me see. Okay, that is also is not working. Okay, so what happens is our instance is not able to take more containers. Okay, so what actually is happening? So my cluster is occupying, is running this two tasks. Okay, these two tasks are completely taking out my active memory and CPU. Okay, these two have these two tasks are completely taking. So I'll do one thing. uh, I'll show how to delete your task. So again, I'll select your task and can just click on stop. Okay, so these containers will stop running your, so these instances will stop running your containers, right? Your containers have gone, right? Similarly, if you want to add, similarly go to new task, click on EC2, select your task definition. So number, I'll take one now. Okay, I'll take one now. So I'll say only one task. Okay, so I create a run task. Okay, so now you can see, just will, this will be very, very quick. So I have added one container to my server, right? It is in running condition. I'll go and I'll access my container. Okay, so this is a container running. Now if the load is more, I want to add more containers. So what I'll do, the job is very simple, and I'll say run new task. I'll add one more container. As you can see, this is only one container. Now I'll say run new task, select EC2, task definition, cluster, number of task 1, click on run task. So similarly, right now I'm just experimenting with 1 and 2 numbers. So basically, if you want to add hundreds of containers at the same time, so you can just simply add the number of containers. So if you want to add 100 containers, just click and ask this task definition to create 100 containers at the same time. Okay, so as you can see, task definition running, sorry, not this. So this is my task, second one which I've just created. So this is my container and this is running here. Okay. So I have two containers running. Okay. So similarly, what you can do is, if you want to create task, okay. So if you want to create new task, so at the same time, what you can do is, if you want to create 100 tasks, you can create 1,000 tasks. You can create at a time. These many servers will start working for you immediately, instantly. It will start working for you. So that is the advantage of working on this. Whereas in the normal way, whereas creating one instance and using that configuring all your Docker or installing all your softwares, doing the configuration was very, very tough job, right? So as you can see, instantly you will be able to create any number of containers. So instant, this is happening in a very, very short time. As you can see, if I say 100 or else 1,000 containers will form instantly. Whereas in a normal, for example, will if you go in a normal older procedure, you need to create one server. So inside the server, you have to install the operating system, and again after installing the operating system, you have to install all the necessary software, then you have to do the configuration, then you need to build your Docker engine, and after that you need to run your containers. So but here, as you can see, if I click on 100, it will immediately start creating 100 containers for you, right? So this is the easiest way. And if you want to delete your containers, simply you can just remove the task. Okay, so here you can directly remove the task. Okay, so that will completely stop your containers. So this is how you will be doing. And just now we have seen that, okay, this also will complete. So EC2, I think it's not taking more than two instances, two containers, right? I'll say two containers and run task. Okay, two task definitions are running. I will say, okay, let them start first. Okay, so these two are running, so I want to add more. I'll say I'll add one more. I'll say I'll add two more tasks. Okay, so two more tasks I want to add, right? So but it is showing one error. So resource memory, so exactly find out what exactly is this resource memory. So I'll click on it and I'll search for this topic, resource memory, copy, and I'll go to this and I'll find out, control F, resource memory. Okay, so this is the error I'm getting for resource memory. Errors: the amount of memory requested by the task are unavailable on your container instances. That means our instance has no memory to take more tasks, right? So now what you need to do is, now you need to increase the number of instances, right? So as you can see, inside this cluster we have discussed that we can add or remove any number of uh, servers or instances. So as you can see right now, our EC2 instance is running only two containers, so that you can check. So I'll say EC2, right? So it has created two instances for me, right? So these two instances are running t2.micro, which is very very smallest one, right? So what, as per the cluster definition, we can add or remove instances, right? So what we shall do is, instead of these two servers, I'll be adding two more instances, such that I can run more number of tasks. So I'll say I'll go to ECS. So in this I'll go to this cluster. Okay, so in this cluster I'll click on update cluster. Okay, so click on update cluster and click on another provider. Okay, so I think it's not this, cancel. So ECS instances, right? I'll go to ECS instances. So maybe here we should get, so register external instances, right? So again, what have we telling, so how many number of instances you want to add? So I'll say two instances. Okay, let us take two more instances. So click on next. I think this is also not the process. So done. So I think you remember the topic of this auto scaling, right? You remember this topic called auto scaling? Remember? Remember how we have done this auto scaling part? Guys, I'm asking this question. We have worked on this auto scaling, right? What is the procedure for this auto scaling?
Launch config. Nothing.
Amma?
Launch calibration create చేయాలి సార్ ఫస్ట్.
Okay. Launch configuration
నెక్స్ట్
create
ఆటో
చేసిన తర్వాత
Next to auto scaling group tables.
Right. So, so basically what happens is when we have created our cluster, okay. So when we have created our cluster, so automatically one auto group will be added. So that you can see if you go to this EC2 section, okay. So if you go to this EC2 section, this is very very important because most of the people they'll get confused at this place only, okay. So as it is running on this thing, okay, so scroll down and go to this auto scaling group, okay. So if you go to this auto scaling and if you click on this auto scaling groups, okay. So as you can see the name May 11 cluster ECS instance. So whenever you are creating one cluster, automatically when auto scaling group will be created. Okay. So as you know, if we can change make changes in this auto scaling group, automatically we will be getting our servers, right? So I'll go to this auto scaling group. So as you can see, so desired capacity 2, minimum capacity 0, and maximum capacity 2. As you know that we have not done this. So who have done this? So the cluster itself has created. So while creating your instance, it has automatically created your auto scaling group also. Okay. So here you can make changes. So now I will say I'll make changes to this auto scaling group. I will say click on edit. So I'll increase the size. So I'll say my desired capacity is 4. That means I want two more servers, okay. So minimum capacity I'll say 2, and maximum capacity I'll say 10. Okay. So now I'll take the desired capacity as 4 and I'll update. Okay. So as you can see now, we need to have 4 instances, right? Correct. So I'll go back to my EC2 section. I'll see. So as you know, whenever I change this number, automatically this number will be changing to 4 such that I should get two more instances. Okay. So as you can see, one server, it is coming to this pending state. So two servers are running. So we'll check with the name only. Okay. So May 11 cluster. Okay. May 11 cluster. Okay. May 11 cluster. So three servers are there, right? So I think I have asked for four servers, right? So it has provided me three. So I'll refresh. See, it has started creating new server also, right? This is my fourth server. So one, two, three, and four. So because I have changed the server to four auto scaling group to four numbers, so it has started creating me two extra servers. Okay, now you should see these two additional servers in your cluster also, right? So just know what we have done. I've added two servers. So two servers I have added more, right? So by making changes into my auto scaling group. So remember that these two instances should also get connected with our cluster, correct? So we shall see if at all these two instances are connected or not. So that is why I'm waiting for this run condition, running state. So I'll go back and I will just check in my, I think this is available. So I'll check for ECS, Elastic Container Service. Okay, now we will see what is the number now. Right. So as you can see, the number has changed to 4. That means I have added two more servers to my cluster. Right. So I'll go to this cluster. So I'll go to this ECS instances. So as you can see now, four servers I have created, right? Four instances are available, and here you can see as there are only two tasks running, right? So these two tasks are running right now, right? So as you can see, these two tasks are running on two separate instances, right? So as you can see, I have two more instances, but they are of free, no tasks are running on this servers, right? So what I'll do, I'll create two more tasks. Or okay, so I'll go to tasks, and I'll say run new task. So I'll go to EC2 task definition. I think this page has not loaded yet. So run new task. Okay, let it refresh first. Okay, so run new task. So I'll say EC2 task definition. I have only one task definition. I'll select EC2 task definition. I'll say two more tasks. Okay, then now I should not get this error called resource memory. Why? Because I have added two more instances. Okay, so I'll go back. I've added two tasks. Then I'll click on run task. Okay, so task created successfully, right? So as you can see, another two tasks have been added. So now what we have observed, so we have run the number of tasks, tried adding new tasks, okay, and added new tasks we have done. So one more thing is added instances to the cluster using auto scaling group. Okay, so that we have done. Then added new tasks to the new instances, right? So this also we have completed, right? We'll see. So as you can see in this, there are four tasks running, right? So now, as you know, I think you know how to access. So to access your task definition, sorry, to access your task, sorry, so four containers are running. So four tasks are running, right? So external link. So this is my container link. Okay, so this we have learned. Okay, so how to increase your number of tasks and how to add your instances. Okay, so these two we have observed. Okay, now we shall learn how to remove your instances. So I think in your instances group you can see. See, as you can see, four instances are running, right? These four instances belong to this cluster. Okay, as you can see, this cluster, it is running four instances. Okay, now important thing is how to delete your cluster. Okay, so the thing is, if you want to add or remove your instances, you can do using auto scaling group. But you can see you can't directly remove your cluster. Okay. So if I say delete cluster, okay. So I'll say delete me. Okay. So click on delete. I think this should not delete because there are running tasks. Okay, first you need to delete your running tasks, and then you need to click on this delete. So next we are trying to delete. Okay, I think it will able to delete the cluster also directly. Okay, so when you are deleting this cluster, so what will happen first is your cluster will get deleted, and remember that your task definition will not remain deleted. Okay, so if you are creating one more cluster, okay, as you know this is a template, right? So this template we can use for other clusters also, right? So that is the reason it is not got deleted, because this task definition is just holding some information. The major information of this task definition is it is carrying the image location. Okay, so going back, so it should also, when you are deleting your cluster, parallelly it should delete your auto scaling group, and parallelly your instances also. Okay, so we shall see ECS, sorry, we'll go to this instances and see EC2, right? So I'll click on EC2. As you can see, my running instances, the number has changed to 0. Why? Because when I have deleted my cluster, automatically all the associated instances will also get deleted, right? So parallelly I'll go to my auto scaling group, and here I'll see, I think here also there is no auto scaling group, because it is asking us to, this is the landing page, first page, right? So the auto scaling group which the cluster has created has also got deleted. Okay, so everything is cleared now. Okay, so we are able to create a cluster, we are able to create instances, so we are able to create tasks. Okay, so all we have practiced, and you can see everything has happened within few minutes, right? Within maybe I can say roughly within an hour, we are able to create a big cluster, and I have added number of servers onto that, and I have able to run multiple containers onto that. And after completing my task within minutes, I am able to delete the big cluster also. Okay, so that is what you need to understand from this. Okay, so the thing is, because we have done this so many times, it looked very easy for me, right? So but when you practice, you'll be facing so many difficulties and so many errors. Okay, so I need you guys to practice this. I will be available here, and if you are having any doubts, you can just ask me. I'll try to clarify. Okay. So please do this practical part. Okay. I hope, and also while doing this practice, please maintain notes for this. Okay. Write down all the steps which you are doing.